it's been an interesting day for the Spanish community. Probably more than a day, but so a couple weeks ago, first the president found a way to close up some loopholes on visas for immigrants from coming into the country, because they were taking advantage of the visa idea, and it's like a lottery where so many people are chosen to come here, which is fine. Personally, I don't think it should matter where they're coming from, as long as there's a limit on the number. But they were instead using it to bring criminal elements into the country who were pretty much being rejected by their own country. So, I'm sure they were using it for, bringing cheap labor in and various other things like that. So, anyways, he pretty much pulled that visa lottery, or at least pulled the majority of it. I think part of it's still in play for those people who are doing everything legitimately and legally. So there was that, and then he put emphasis on that they're still building the wall, and they've got a couple 100 miles built, maybe more than that, and they got a couple 100 more to go, or I forget. I think ultimately he said about 700 or 800 miles of wall is what he'll be able to get in. And it sounds like they've got the funding for it. It's just a matter of getting things done, the passing contracts and, paperwork and zoning and all that. So that's kind of a hard blow to the Mexicans. And then the coronavirus made it possible to just close the border in certain areas. I don't think they ever completely closed it, maybe for a minute. And then they closed it again, though, just recently, because people were using the coronavirus people who want to attack the country in different ways, were using the virus to sneak people who were COVID positive over the border, and then they were releasing them or treating them in California, I'm sure other places too. And so they had to cut that off because it was causing a new spike in cases, obviously, because they're intentionally seeding the people with the virus. People are sick. And then, so there was that. But then yesterday the president officially declared the USMCA Mexico-Canada trade deal. And I'm not sure. I know that's supposed to help create several jobs between Mexico and the United States and Canada, while opening trade routes that are not being used for trafficking. At least we hope not. And so there was that. And then today he signed a Hispanic initiative where they created various programs and designated funding to go to different communities and stuff to help build up the Hispanic community of American Hispanic immigrants that are here legally, I guess. Things like giving them choices of where to go to school, and I don't know, frankly, but they named off several things, and they seem to be pretty happy about that. So that was a good thing. And now I just heard in LA County, California, a councilman, Weezer, or something like that, Alexander Weezer, is facing federal charges for a major racketeering conspiracy that was going on there. And they busted him with hundreds of thousands of dollars in cash and in casino tokens. He was involved in multiple pay-to-play schemes, so it wasn't giving legitimate businesses a fair chance. He was just taking bribes from different companies and giving them the right to build, while other businesses who were probably more honest were not allowed to do business. So, and then they were intimidating people, and what else was going on? He said the list just goes on and on of how bad it got. They were doing things like creating a campaign where it would guarantee a successor to take his seat that would continue to cover things up. And, well, anyways, this councilman was supposed to be a representative of the Hispanic community, so he was making sure that he created a campaign that would guarantee family members were going to succeed him to continue their racketeering scheme. And I guess it was like multi-million, probably billions of dollars. But if you think about it, that eventually is going to have to naturally come down around other politicians in California who seem to be living the high life while representing the poorest, most, neglected communities. So I have a feeling this case is going to get a little bit bigger. This U.S. Attorney General, he seemed to be pretty angry at what he learned and how bad it really was. So, anyways, he said it was 4 million residents in that area, and it was all being done at the expense of the taxpayers, and people were being harassed and bribed, and I'm sure I'm sure people were murdered over it and whatever. It gets pretty deep, it sounds like. So I have a feeling this case is going to reveal a lot more than people are expecting. But another interesting bust going down. What else has happened today? Ah, shit, no. I'll be dropping my phone. The president officially insisted that the schools lift their lockdowns and let the kids go back to school. He brought in several experts, doctors, teachers, and kind of coordinated with all of them and ultimately determined that there's no reason why the kids shouldn't be able to be in school. The virus is not super contagious right now to children, and it's more damaging to their health and overall well-being not being in school. So that's really good. He also worked on, or is considering, if they can't return to school or only are returning part-time, to find a way to reroute the money meant to spend on their education directly to the families, instead of letting the government portion or the school or whoever normally gives the money out, gives the funding out, wouldn't be in charge of it. Of course, on the other side of things, they are trying to make it sound like he's taking funding away from the school. That's just not true. They are trying to make sure that the children are actually getting what they need, even if they can't be in school for some reason. So I thought that was really smart, and I think that is the exact same thing they need to do for the police. I don't think that the police should be politically motivated so that they can get their funding. The money that they need should be directly given to the police departments at their request, somehow, I don't know. But anyways, so that was good. And the Democrats are going crazy. They don't want to let the kids go back to school, but all these poor parents are not all capable of taking care of the kids 24/7 and their education and everything. So it's kind of crucial for them to go back. What else happened? I don't know. It's just been... he announced that we are going to be officially withdrawing from our connections with the WHO. That's a good thing. I'm not sure, though. We still are seeing Dr. Fauci and Birx in the CDC, and they should not be in those jobs. They should be removed, investigated. Their research should be investigated without notice. And they should be replaced by people that have been able to openly figure out what was going on with this virus and let the world know about it. Somebody we can trust, not to be motivated by vaccines and technology and whatever they've got invested in it. But the withdrawal from the WHO is a step in the right direction. And then we got Pompeo talking about how the Assad regime in Syria is escalating their attempts to starve their people, and that they're in desperate need of humanitarian aid and all this other stuff. I don't know a lot about that regime, but the little bit I paid attention to, it sounded like the Assad regime is the only part in the Middle East that protects the right people, like the Christians and the Jews, and protects the people that would normally be persecuted. And it seems to me there was a couple terrorist organizations or rebel organizations, I don't know what their motives are or who they are, but that were forcefully occupying territories in Syria to kind of like they were trying to do in Seattle with the Chaz and all that. It's what they're trying to do out there. The same thing they do out there. They use these groups to occupy areas where there's want to funnel or tunnel oil through, and sometimes they'll be stealing the oil from other neighboring countries. Route the oil. And so they there's a lightning bug. Mosquitoes are really bad out here. Anyways, they need to run a pipeline through Syria, I think is what it is. And the Assad regime doesn't like that idea because then it gives other people control over his resources. Personally, I can understand that. But, I don't know, I think it also involves Israel and Turkey and Germany, I don't know. But I know Trump got out of the way to let them all work that out because we don't need that. And they were using our military to hold territory out there where they want to control the oil. And I think we pulled out under the conditions that we have control over a certain portion of the oil, or a certain territory. And then, as far as I know, they're trying to say that Russia's getting in the way and blocking the food and whatever. But as far as I understand it, Russia is holding the ground so that these terrorist groups and rebel groups and stuff don't try to occupy those territories. And these groups, as far as I understand it, they're not from these places. They're just taking over these places on behalf of different countries that they come from. So they have no right to these territories, as far as I understand it. Now, I don't know if there's more going on, obviously, than I could possibly understand in the world. So who knows? But I know that our previous administration manipulated things so that we could have an excuse to be waging a war on Syria, and then Trump came in and kind of put a stop to it, and that was supposed to be a good thing. And then Russia came in and kind of took over dealing with it, since it's partially their deal, and he got our people out of it because it's not our deal. It's not something we need to be doing. And so now it sounds to me like Pompeo's trying to manipulate us back into it. So I don't know what's going on, but I just do not trust him. He just seems like he's just trying to manipulate things and bring us back around full circle. And I don't think that it's our place to be doing that. There's no reason why you should steal other people's shit. It's just that simple. You're not supposed to covet people's land and resources, and it's not right. If we've got control over a certain portion and in exchange for something we did as a favor to them, that's fine, but to just force people to the end of your will like that is not okay. And from what I understand, the UN was doing things like setting up these chemical attacks and then blaming them on the Assad regime or on another terrorist group, and then that would trigger another terrorist group or Assad to do an attack on the people he thought did the attack, and then the UN, who coordinated it, would send in their fake white helmet people, peacekeepers, to help save the day, and then they'd ask us for money to pay for all these little games, and they're the ones creating the attacks. And it sounds like Pompeo's building up excuses to do the same thing over again. He's trying to say that they're repeating their attacks and doing all this stuff. As far as I know, there's a group of people occupying territory there that don't have any right to be doing that, and they're trying to force their way of life onto the population. From what I understand, the people that are from there, they were confused why the Obama administration was working with the enemy and against people that he should be allied with, like the Christians and stuff, and actually allowing the murder of Christians and persecution going on out there, working with the people who were doing it. So I don't know, I'm getting the impression that Pompeo is redirecting us there and trying to create trouble between Syria and Russia and the United States. And pretty sure Israel's in the midst of all that. I don't know about Turkey, but I don't like what I'm hearing. And then what else? I don't know, I guess that's about it. China's territory is being flooded more than ever now. I'm being chewed alive by these mosquitoes today. I think maybe it's because I haven't been able to do as much lawn work as I need to get done. My dog got really sick and probably spent the last month just focusing on him, so it's made it hard to keep up with everything else. And so my backyard is got to finish getting mowed, but I'm getting chewed alive, so I'm going to give it up for today. And it's July 8th, I think. Hang on here. July 9th, 2020. It was a pretty nice day out, kind of gloomy, but not too hot, not too cold. But boy, are the mosquitoes bad. My dog seems to be improving instead of dying, so he's feeling a lot better, which is amazing. The president has been making, I guess, a lot of arrests against these rioters and different groups that have been causing problems. What else? He announced that he was going to do this National Guard park where all the founding people that laid the groundwork for the country and kind of helped build it up and make it strong. He announced that. And what else? I guess not a whole lot in the last couple of days. It seems like a lot, though. A lot of work with the Mexicans, it sounds like, and working on trying to get people back to school and open the country back up. And the CDC and the WHO and everybody had to finally admit that they may be skewing the numbers a bit, so they kind of, Pence and Birx and Fauci sort of filled the public in on how to handle getting back to life after their pandemic. I don't know. It's pretty quiet around here today, so I'm getting chewed alive, and it makes it hard to concentrate on anything at this point. So I hope everyone stays safe and healthy. It's a pretty quiet day today. And I guess I'll take a look at the news and tell you what's happening another day.